Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. We are joined today by Jennifer Killian, who is the urban forester at the city of Corvallis. Jennifer, how are you doing today?
I couldn't be better. I just planted 8 trees outside, so can't be better
Awesome.
than that.
I love it. And what we're going to do, folks, today we're going to discuss just some of the accolades that our lovely city has received for its vegetation. And Jennifer is going to give us the 101 on what's known as highly significant vegetation and these protected oak areas so that we can be informed homeowners. And I want to emphasize the overwhelming importance of understanding these protected areas since they can be found in both public and private land. Which includes, of course, our very own backyards, depending on where you live in the city of Corvallis. And we're going to have some fun, of course. So this is going to be really informative, and I appreciate you taking the time, Jennifer. Thank you.
Of course, my pleasure.
So to start off, for those of us, myself included, what does it actually mean that you are an urban forester? What does that consist of?
Yeah, well, it's the most fun ever. So the city of Corvallis, specifically Parks and Recreation, has our urban forestry department, and we manage the over 15,000 trees that are in the public right of way, or typically known as the area between the street and the sidewalk. Some people call it like the parkway, the health strip,
Sure.
city right of way. And so we have over 15,000 trees in that area. And we also have thousands of trees in our parks and natural areas and riparian corridors that we also help manage. So I have a crew of 4 additional staff that we take care of all the planting, pruning, removals, and any other maintenance issues. So if you have a tree in your yard, or excuse me, in your right of way that needs some attention, we call our office and we try and get there as quick as possible.
And thank you for all the work that you do in that regard, because one of the many things I love about living in this area is how green and lush it is, and that's a part of it.
Yes, definitely.
So, super. So quick question for you. So you're an urban forester, and
Yes.
Jennifer, we've been acquainted for just a few days, so you know I love puns and wordplay. Is there such
Yes.
thing as forest urbanites? And if so, do you guys have professional development together?
Yes, we do. Yes,
Of course.
it's a separate department in Parks and Rec. Not well known.
Nice. Wow, you rolled with that one very well. All right, good deal.
I'm so used to your wonderful jokes.
I'll send you the check for saying that later.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Yes.
Yeah. All right, now back to seriousness. So this is super cool because even recently I got a chance to learn a little bit more about some of the accolades that Corvallis has, thanks to you and your team. And Corvallis was actually just named very recently the Oregon Tree City of the Year. That was last year, correct?
I think it was 2 years ago now.
2 years?
Yeah, I think it's been 2 years. It was a huge honor. I think a lot of people probably know about the Arbor Day Foundation. And if you've lived in Corvallis for any amount of time, you know that we proudly boast that we are a Tree City USA.
Yes.
And what is really cool about a Tree City USA is you have to apply every year through the Arbor Day Foundation, and you have to meet 4 like kind of core standards. And those standards are that you maintain a tree board. And we have that in Corvallis. We have the Civic Beautification and Urban Forestry Advisory Board. And so we meet once a month and talk about tree issues. And then you have to have a tree ordinance, which we also do. We have an urban forestry management plan, and in that is our tree ordinance. And that kind of helps guide some of the management practices that we have. Another kind of core standard of being a Tree City USA is that you have to spend at least $2 per capita on tree care issues, which Corvallis does. And then lastly, celebrate Arbor Day, or in Oregon, it's actually Arbor Month, which is the entire month of April. And so we usually do a tree planting. We have an Arbor Day proclamation that the mayor reads, and it's just a fun month full of tree related fun loving activities.
That's outstanding. And it looks like after seeing that website that we've been receiving Tree City USA accolades for almost 20 years running from the Arbor Day Foundation, correct?
Yes, I just applied and feel pretty confident that we will be awarded our 21st year this year.
Nice. All right.
In addition to that, we can also apply for a growth award, which means we meet these core standards and just do a little bit extra. And so we've actually had 12 consecutive growth awards as well.
That's outstanding.
Yeah,
and we'll be sure to pull up the website that I found showing this, where Corvallis was named the Oregon Tree City of the Year. And go figure, look at that. Jennifer is in the picture. Gotta love it.
Oh gosh. If you don't mind, I'm gonna just move a little bit because I've got the sun there.
That's okay. I was just doing the same thing and just ended up inside, as you can see.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Sorry about that.
No, super. I appreciate it. So for our viewers who are really, viewing this sort of thing, because this video is Tree-Vallis, for our viewers who are checking this out that are thinking of moving here that obviously aren't here yet, how does this area feel to you, just for example, in terms of the trees and other flora and fauna? Because they hear
Yes.
from me a lot.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I'm not just saying this because I love trees, but I grew up in the Midwest and I fell in love with trees in Wisconsin. And I think parts of Wisconsin have some pretty amazing tree canopy, but I moved out here, actually came out to visit in 2007, and I was simply awe-inspired by the amount of trees, the size of trees, and the amount of trees that we have. The trees here are huge, and we have a really outstanding canopy cover. And when we talk about canopy cover, we think about the percentage of the city that's covered by tree canopy. And I think we're at about 26% tree canopy cover, which is outstanding. And one of my goals is to get that up to 30% in the next 10 years, which just means more planting and prioritizing tree preservation. But the canopy in Corvallis specifically is really amazing. And we have a really, I don't want to say strict, but it's, you can't just remove a tree for any reason. We have, in order to remove a tree, it has to be either like dead or dying, and that's pretty easy to tell. Actively failing, so maybe something happened to it in a storm or it was damaged irreparably. Have a presence of pest or disease that's, not going to go away, or causing irreparable infrastructure failure. So let's say a root got into a sewer or a water line and just causing a lot of problems. In that case, we might remove the tree. So we have a really strict canopy preservation and tree preservation policy. And what we'll talk about a little bit later is tree preservation on public and private property, which not all cities have.
Jennifer, I think that's a perfect segue. If it's okay with you, let's dive right into that. I was going to say that's the meat of this, but no, it's the vegetation of this. So we'll edit that one out. So
no, let's keep that in.
Keep it. All right, fine. So let's talk about these protected areas that are known as highly significant vegetation. So, I'm just a normal citizen who then of course also became a realtor. And I've always known something about how Corvallis doesn't just like people cutting their trees down, but I didn't really know much about the official rules, the guidelines. So in my mind, really all that I was aware of was, hey, check with the city before you just go cut down your trees, that sort of thing, and make sure there's not an issue there. But it turns out that there are actual guidelines, criteria in some areas, and they're very straightforward restrictions, which are really important to know about for, just the average everyday citizen and people in real estate. So hopefully we can share this around the professional community as well. Can you enlighten us, as I like to say, so that we can be informed stewards of the land?
Yeah, we'd be so happy to.
And just tell us a little bit more about what these zones mean and how they can occur in public and private spaces, and really what we need to know.
Yes, I would be so happy to. So I want to back up a little bit and just kind of say again that my department, Corvallis Urban Forestry, specifically manages the trees that grow in that public right of way or that area between the street and the sidewalk.
Okay.
And so if you buy a home and you look out and you see street, sidewalk, and some grassy vegetation between, the trees in that do belong to the city. And that was only, I think that's only been about 20 years, a policy for about 20 years. So, but even if you lived in Corvallis for 6 years and you planted that tree, it was kind of assumed by the city of Corvallis when the city took over those trees. But if you're looking to buy a tree or buy a house or in Corvallis or just recently have, take note of that space. It's just typically that space between the street and the sidewalk, except for one or two kind of important areas. So in your backyard, the city has very little jurisdiction over what you do in your backyard, except for two zones, the riparian corridor and this area of highly significant vegetation. So I'll talk really briefly about the riparian corridor because I think it's a little bit easier. If you are a certain distance from a city stream, and you know that because you're likely in the floodplain, your realtor will probably tell you that there's a stream in your backyard. If you're within city limits, there are certain restrictions on what you can do to the trees in the riparian corridor. And those restrictions depend on the size of the stream and the flow. So I can't give you a certain distance, like it's always 50 feet or 100 feet. So you have to check about the size of the stream, but typically there's a buffer on those riparian corridors, and you can't do whatever you want to the trees because they're trying to preserve shade and other ecosystem services like bank stabilization and protecting the native vegetation and the wildlife in those streams. So canopy preservation in these riparian corridors is very important. So if you have any questions about that, you can call my office and I'd be able to give you more information about your residence specifically, because I can't make overarching claims about every riparian stream.
Sure.
So the one that gets a little bit tricky, and one I find that I get a lot of questions about, is this area called the highly significant vegetation corridor. And these corridors and zones are established to keep native oak populations, to preserve these native oak populations. And so even if this is in your backyard and you're not like in a riparian corridor, and so you think like, oh, I bought this house, I have this right of way, and I realize that's the city's, but my backyard, that's all mine. I would definitely check to make sure you're not in one of these highly significant vegetation corridors, because if you do work to the trees, or let's say you want to remove a tree or cut roots or do some other sort of maintenance to the trees, and that tree does happen to be protected, you could be faced with a lot of fines. And that's my least favorite part of this job. I try and avoid it at all costs, which is why I was so happy when Michael agreed to this conversation, because I'd like to get the word out to as many people as possible. So I think what we can do maybe is pull up a map of that area. I think Michael has.
Let's do it. I'm going to share a screen. Hopefully this goes smoothly on the Zoom call, and appreciate your patience, viewers, if for some reason it doesn't. So Jennifer sent me the link to this Treekeeper system for the city. We'll of course put a link to this in the description below.
Yep.
And so this is super, because I don't think I'd ever seen this before our conversations.
Yeah, and it's available to the public. You see a little login. You know, anybody who wants to access this can. The login is for like city staff, and we have a little bit more information, but anybody in the community can log on. And so let's see. Let's type, I'm trying to think of an address. Let's go to 1540.
And we just put it up here?
Yeah, in the search bar, Northwest Kings.
All right.
I know that house.
That's an address that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I know because I planted several trees in this right of way. So if you just moved to Corvallis, or you're thinking about moving to Corvallis and you kind of want to know, you can type in the address in the search function. And again, this is only for within the urban growth boundary or the city of Corvallis proper.
Right.
So and if you zoom in a little bit more, Michael, you can see that all those green dots are either a tree or a stump or some sort of site that we're managing. And so, yep. And so you have this little site information table, which is really helpful. And that tree has been there for a long time, but you can see it's got a diameter of 14 inches and it's in Ward 6, which is really helpful. And it's got the species and the address attached. And if you click on the other ones,
this is so cool. Japanese flowering cherry tree,
yep.
This diameter, year planted.
Yep.
Year planted is 0 on that one. I'm not sure what that means.
I'm not sure what that means either. Maybe, because it
year
was planted before
2018.
Well, I think it was planted before, that tree was planted before we got this system. And so I think they just assumed that, I don't know. So this one I planted, it was really fun to plant in 2018. This is the only tree of this species in the entire city. So that's really cool. I got to kind of do as a test plot to see if this tree would do well in Corvallis. But if you click on the actual name of the tree in green there, I think what it does, even in the guest view, it gives you a little bit more information. And so you can click on the site. So that gives you site specific information about the address. And then if you go down one, Michael, it says species, and that gives you a little bit more information. And what's really cool about this, and I'm really hoping more people do this, so maybe this is my outlet, is if you look, there's a little envelope in that green, that if you click on that actually sends an email to the tree itself. So the tree will get your email, and you can tell the tree how much you love it or how much you appreciate it, or maybe there's something wrong, like it looks like it's got a wound and you want the tree to know that you recognized it. You can send the tree an email, and that email is checked, because trees need help with their email, by urban forestry staff, and sometimes you might even get a response from the tree. So
this is tree mail.
It's tree mail. Yeah.
Okay, but silly joke aside, so as you were just saying, so we can use this just as homeowners, as citizens, just to send an email to the tree that the urban forestry staff checks to say, hey, I'm concerned about this tree. It looks like it's got some kind of infestation, or it got hit by a car, and or who knows what. I mean,
or it looks like it needs some water. Yeah, it's super fun. And I've only gotten one email from only one tree in Corvallis has got an email from somebody, a resident. So I would like to see that happen a little bit more, even if it's just say, I love you, tree. Thank you so much for all you're doing for my house. So another cool feature is like you get the overhead view and the street side view.
I'm just noticing that. Yeah, we get the map and the street view. This is really cool.
Yep. But I mean, I digress because really the point of this is, and if you close out of that, Michael, you get to see all of Corvallis, and in the layers function on the side, it looks like three squares stacked on top of each other. Although you've already got it selected, you see that dark green line, that's the riparian corridor.
Oh, the layers. Okay.
Yeah. And then if you zoom out even farther, we can find the highly significant vegetation, which is typically a little bit more north of town.
And thank you, Jennifer, for directing me well here, since we're sharing a screen and this one's on my computer. All right. So highly significant.
Yeah.
We're getting away from seeing some riparian zone. Oh, and now we see these big swaths of green.
Yeah. And if you want to turn down the noise a little bit on this, what you can go, Michael, is to that, that layers button. And you can turn off the Corvallis street trees for now. We can turn it on later, but it kind of helps now. Turn off the riparian corridors.
Sure.
And that's your significant vegetation. You might say, well, Jennifer, the riparian corridors are still visible. True. Because in a lot of cases, the riparian corridors fall under that significant vegetation, but it's sometimes nice to see the difference. So you can deselect the significant vegetation and the riparian corridors will only be there.
Okay. So can we use this as an example and just zoom into a random spot here?
Absolutely.
And then we can talk a little bit about, okay, you know, if my house for, let's say, I don't know who this is. We're just doing a random house on this one. No
and do one
jokes.
thing for me. Do one thing for me, Michael. Go to the corner there and go to satellite. And I think it just helps a lot.
Bing
Google satellite. Google satellite help. I think works a little bit better, but I think either one.
Oops. Okay. Is this okay?
Yeah, that's fine. So you can kind of see, now you can kind of see a little bit more like your house, and not all trees at this address here are highly significant or in the highly significant vegetation, but you can see that there are some that are in that. And so if you're in your backyard and you're looking out and you see a tree that you have some concern over, or maybe it's shading your garden and you don't like that, if you're in this zone, just don't make assumptions and cut the tree down. Call us and we can maybe come up with a plan, because just because trees are in this significant vegetation corridor doesn't mean you can't do anything to them. It just, the city has additional protections on these trees. And so we just want to make sure you're removing the tree for the right reason, and avoiding those fines.
Okay, so if we own this house, for example, and we're watching this video and now we're aware, and hopefully we were aware before, but we're aware that we've got this highly significant vegetation zone in the backyard. If we want to, put up a hedge, put up a fence, remove a tree, do something like that, really it just comes down to call your office so that we can make sure we're not going to, mess anything up. I mean, there are times you said where, something needs to go, it can go. But you need to be a part of that conversation.
I do need to be a part of that conversation. And it has happened in the past where in the way, because you might think, oh, well, nobody's going to know. Your neighbors know, and they will call. And that is 10 times out of 10. I am aware of these people cutting down trees in these highly significant vegetation corridors because the neighbors call. So so I would definitely just skip all that drama and just give me a call and we can work it out. So like I was saying, you can remove these trees, just we want to make sure it's for the right reasons and at the right time and things like that. And so like, let's say you live, Grand Oaks, for example, is a good example of this. They have concerns about fire. And so we definitely allow them to remove trees in Grand Oaks due to fire concerns. Or let's say you need to make a egress for a fire truck or something like that, that's fine. Again, those fall into those exemptions for why we might allow a tree to be removed in these corridors.
Oh yeah, there you go. There's plenty of significant vegetation area in the Grand Oaks neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So really just importance to reach out to the city urban foresters, have you guys be a part of that conversation. And if there's, is it a permitting process? Is that the right word, or is that too formal?
That's almost even too formal. There's no formal permit. It's just more of a conversation. And a lot of times we ask you to have a certified arborist on site. So not me or my staff, because again, it's private property and we only work in public property. We just kind of act as a liaison for this, but you can hire a certified arborist and they can give you a report. And so it's really less formal than a permit, but sometimes we ask them to submit a report. Like it can just be one page. Here's why we're moving the tree and here's what we're going to do to mitigate it. A lot of times we just ask that you replant a tree either in that spot or in that area so that we're compensating for the loss of canopy.
Makes sense. All right, thank you. Is there anything else that we should show off on the site while we've got it pulled up, or should we go
Oh my
back
gosh.
to?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about this site for hours and hours. I would just encourage people to play around on it,
Okay.
and have some fun, learn something new about the trees in your community. And if you have any questions, send the tree an email.
Send the tree an email. I love it. All right, let's remove this from screen share. There's a few
Okay.
other things that I wanted to chat with you about. I really
Great.
appreciate you taking the time again.
Oh my gosh.
So.
It's first of all, it's my pleasure because I love talking about trees, but if I can engage the community and so we can do less fines and restitution, that's actually a win for me.
Absolutely. And we're all in this together, not to sound hokey, right? But
no, we are.
You don't want to move here because you love how green it is and then end up cutting down a tree that was protected and getting in trouble like that. Yes. That's a lose-lose. So
yes, it is. Yeah. It is. Yep.
All right, excellent. So that's a really great resource, and that's a free website. There was no login. I just literally put the link in. It opened right up, and we're just kind of perusing around on a map, which was very easy to navigate. The website, that is, not the map. I get lost all over the place on maps. So folks, spread this around to your friends and to your realtors too. Yes. Part of the conversation behind the scenes the other day with Jennifer was, oh my gosh, we need to get realtors trained up on this because something tells me I'm not the only one who didn't know about the website until just recently. Yes. And getting the word out there is going to be really helpful for all of us. Yes. All right, so let's finish up with some tree fun, and we'll make it quick.
I love tree fun.
Okay, so I'm not going to take credit for any of the jokes here because these are pretty good jokes, so I didn't write them. We'll put the website on the screen. So we got some tree jokes and then some serious questions, and we'll wrap up. Jennifer, we're putting you on the spot here. Ready?
So ready.
What side of a tree has the most leaves?
Okay, let's see. Oh gosh, the right side, the side facing the sun.
That seems reasonable. Apparently it's the outside though. I think you were getting too granular in your thinking there. All right. It's okay. You got this next one. What type of tree fits into your hand?
A palm tree.
Whoa! Bam.
And also palms aren't trees. So that joke doesn't even make any sense. Palm trees aren't actually trees. They're like a grass.
Your boss, I don't know if you have a boss, your boss told me to ask you that and see if you knew that. And that was,
Did I pass?
Yeah, you passed. They're renewing your contract. Congratulations.
Yes!
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Why don't trees like riddles?
Because they're not sentient beings. Well, I guess they're sort of sentient. I don't know why.
Because they don't like getting stumped. That's true. That's
true. They don't like that. Actually.
All right. Enough of that. I couldn't help it. Back to serious, because we're going to show some B-roll. We'll probably even pop a drone up as part of this. Jennifer, you know this city tree-wise better than anybody. What are some of your favorite trees or tree stands? What are some gorgeous places we can show off as part of this?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So a part of my department works, like I said, in the city right away, but we also manage a lot of the city's most beautiful natural areas. And I think, Michael, you did a video on natural areas or trails there is at Bald Hill a stand of historic and heritage madrone trees. The madrone trees are really unique. We're sort of on the limit of their growing range. You don't see them a lot, but there's this huge grove, and I can even show Michael on the map where they are so you can see them yourselves. There's 5 and they're ginormous, and they're right off the trail at Bald Hill. That's one of my favorite.
We're going to have it on the screen during that conversation. Yeah, yes, they're already seeing it.
Oh, great. Oh, aren't they great? Everybody watching, aren't they so beautiful? And then if you want to do some kind of cool, more urban tree spotting, there's a tree that's actually been to the moon, and that tree is on campus, and maybe you're seeing it now as we talk. So this tree, as a little seedling, went up, and it's right next to Oregon State University PV Arboretum, or excuse me, not PV Arboretum, the forestry department. And so that tree has been to the moon and back and is growing very well. So that's a very cool tree to see. But my favorite tree in Oregon and pretty much anywhere is Oregon white oak. I think it's just such a beautiful and iconic tree to Oregon, and ecologically just very, very important. And I don't see many that I don't like. So
excellent. Those are great responses. And I had no idea about the tree that had been to the moon and back, by the way, as a seedling. That is
called the moon
super
tree.
Cool. That is super cool. We will find it by the time this video is published, and we'll be looking at it right now. I love it.
Yes. Great.
All right. So very cool. And I'm going to ask myself the same question. Some of my favorite trees, in case anyone cares, I love playing Frisbee golf on the weekends in like Willamette Park. and there are some huge trees there, and it just always makes me happy to see these ginormous, just monstrous trees. They're probably sequoia or Doug fir, so we'll have to get a picture of one of those ones in particular up there. And in the Witham Hill neighborhood, there's this one little spot on I think it's on Estiview. We'll have to find it as I'm going down the hill, about to merge into one of the other roads. I just always love seeing this one tree that is either a sequoia or a redwood. I feel like I see redwoods occasionally out here,
yes,
right?
there are. Yes, there are some redwoods, but most of the time, if you see a redwood-like tree, it's a sequoia like the one behind me. But there are redwoods, and it's likely that you are seeing one. I haven't seen that one, but I'm gonna go find it.
Super. All right. Well, I really appreciate it. Last but not least, if you could be any kind of tree, what tree would you be?
An Oregon white oak, and I know that was already my answer, but I have a really good reason why.
Let's hear it.
They live for a really long time, like 300 to 500 years. They provide habitat to all sorts of animals, which I think would be super fun. And their bark is really thick and fire resistant, and just really resilient. And I think I could be a little more resilient in my day-to-day life. And so I learn a lot from Oregon white oaks. And if they teach me anything, it's to be more resilient. And so I would be an Oregon white oak.
I love it. That's a great response. Thank you. So if it's okay with you, can we put your City of Corvallis urban forester contact information on the screen?
Oh, absolutely. Please do. Yes, please do.
And folks, be kind to your urban foresters. They are here preserving not just the natural ecosystem around you, but one of the many reasons that we love living in this community in the first place. We are all working together for the same goals there. So thank you, Jennifer.
Can I put a shameless plug in really quickly?
Shameless plug, okay.
We are always looking for volunteers to help us plant trees, and in the public right away, we plant about 200 trees a year. So if you are just super fired up right now listening to me talk about trees, just wait till you plant a tree with me, and I would love to have you along. So you can contact me by using the contact information Michael just shared.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I do love seeing your crews out there where I live in my little neighborhood.
Yes.
I feel like I saw you guys last year planting trees right across the street from me, and on the Corvallis to see bike path that is officially open now.
Yes.
So it's really neat to see that all happening. Thank you.
Yes. So, thank you. Thank you for letting me talk about my program. I could talk for hours. This was super fun.
Well, love it. Really appreciate everything that you do for our lovely city and for you taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you,
so
Michael.
Thank you, Jennifer. And folks, that's my time too. I'm Michael Krasilovsky again. I run Team K Realty out of Remax in Corvallis, and I help people actually buy and sell homes when I'm not getting to have wonderful, enlightening conversations with our public servants here. So thank you so much for your viewership, and just let us know if there's anything we can do to help you. Jennifer, thank you again so much.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, bye for now.
Bye.